What's up, guys? Big Clyde 34 coming at you today with Cars and Clyde, the antidote for your automotive hangover. And today we're coming at you talking about 5 things that you can do to make sure that you do good when you're buying a car, to make sure that you get a good deal, to make sure that you get the right car, etc. So why have I not started it up? This usually starts from the cockpit of the problem child. I just wanted to say 2 things. Number 1, Black Friday sale did awesome. That was the biggest sale we've ever had, so I wanted to thank everyone who placed an order on BigClyde34.com, and I saved the best news for last. We had the Big Clyde 34 Drive and Drop Toy Drive. Didn't really know what to expect. First ever meet that I hosted. Thanks, by the way, to Mishimoto for giving us a spot and kind of putting it on their social media as well to get people out. But I just want to show you guys real quick. We got a lot of toys, so thank you to everybody who came out. I didn't really think this through. I'm gonna have to move the car, so I gotta move these toys. This isn't even all of them. A couple of them, the bigger ones, didn't even fit in my truck to come over here. So thanks to everyone who did that. I just wanted to give a big thank you to everyone who came out and made this possible. These kids are gonna love this stuff. But now we're gonna get into the bulk of this video on those car buying tips. You can see the video of us giving these out and taking them to the hospital coming in a couple weeks when we get all this arranged, a little bit closer to Christmas time. So let's take a ride after I get myself organized here, shall we? A little cold start action. Alright guys, so as promised, we are now in the cockpit of the Z06, and I'm going to give you the rundown on the 5 things that I think are the most important when you go into buying a car, preferably a used car, maybe a little bit to do with a new car, but you can't really negotiate and stuff like that when you're buying a new car. So if you're buying a new car, this might not be for you. Anyways, what makes me so qualified to give you this kind of information and try and be factual about it? Well, up until I was 22 or so, I've gone through about 2 cars a year, which is just a little tiny bit higher than the average person. I would get bored of stuff and flip it, and I used to buy and sell cars way back in the day for a little bit of money. That's how I earned money to buy some of the earlier cars that I got my hands on. So I've been across a lot of situations, learned a lot from it, and I just want to pass some of that knowledge on to you with some of the things that you can do to make sure that you don't get screwed over, to make sure that you can get the right car that you want, to make sure that you get, you know, a good vehicle. So here goes nothing. We're going to try and just get into this. First and foremost, you want to do your research. Obviously, this is a must. It's kind of like a no-brainer. But what exactly does doing your research mean? Well, to me, if I were to do my research on a car, the first thing I would do would be to go to the particular forum that is associated with that car. And believe it or not, there is a forum for every single car, no matter how mundane, boring, or irrelevant the car might seem in the scheme of things. Even if it's like a little niche, trust me, there are other people out there who are working on these things, who are, you know, buying parts for these things, who are trying to commute around in these things. Everybody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to give and get information. So starting there would be a good place to start. And don't ask right away. Kind of do your research. Scroll through the threads. See what the most common problems are. Then if you have questions, you can always ask on there. Because there are tons and tons and tons of threads with the common problems that a lot of cars have, like mine with the valve issue, which is something that I knew when I was going into it. If I didn't know it going into it, then I could have had a big issue. So that is the first part of doing your research. And the second part would be to search sites like Craigslist, eBay, Cars.com, Auto Trader, and just kind of come up with all the cars in like a similar range, but don't take that for fact, because there's things to consider like condition and how well it was taken care of and the paperwork and all the stuff like that. So cars do have their pros and cons, but you can get a general idea of what something costs. That leads me into point number 2. I heavily urge you to not fall in love with any particular car, because it could be easy to do when you go and you get behind the wheel of a car like this. The first one I drove, I wanted to buy it. Now the guy didn't negotiate with me and it didn't work out, but it's going to be natural that you want to buy the first thing that you drive, but you have to tell yourself, I know the market market because I did my research and I know the comps, and the comps are comparable cars that are the same or similar to it in the market, and I know what it's worth. So know what it's worth in your head before you go into buying it, and that way you can make a more educated decision, and try not to pull the trigger right away because you get excited. That could be a very easy thing to do. That leads very nicely into number 3, which is know an idea of what you want to pay before you go into buying something. For example, if you see it listed at XYZ price, you go, wow, that's a pretty good deal, but I don't want to pay that much, or maybe that's a good deal and I will pay that much. But you want to have an idea of price in your head before you go into it, so you don't end up overpaying because you fall in love on the spot or get pressured or anything like that. Kind of just come up with a number, like if this is in great condition like it says it is, I will pay this much, and try as hard as you can not to go over that number when you're actually negotiating. You know, maybe if it's something's wrong with it, it's not exactly what the ad says, I'll pay this much, and try and stick to your structure so that you're not like in the spot trying to decide. It's a lot easier to think about it when you're not looking at it, and you're not, there's a lot of factors when you're looking at a car. You're excited, someone's trying to push you into a sale, you know, you have other people adding in their opinions, and you just need to figure out what you're going to do before you go into that situation where there is added pressure, whether you're experienced at buying cars or not. You got to have your bottom line in mind. I will not pay more than this amount of dollars for this car when you go into it, and that'll really help you out in the long run. Number 4, might be the biggest cash saver of them all. Once you've done your research, figure out what you want, and you know, you got an idea of what the car's worth and this, that, the other, what you want to pay. You want to make your offer. Now, I studied sales. I took a course in it in college. It was a part of my degree, my major program. So one of the main things that they said about negotiating is you want to take a firm stance that's a little bit lower than what you want to pay. So for example, if a car is up for $40,000 and you want to pay $38,000 for it, you might want to offer $36,500. But here's the key to this, and this is on you to figure out. You do not want to lowball the person. You want to come in strong with a good offer that is lower than what you want to pay, but you don't want to go so low that the person's going to be like, fuck off, you're not worth my time. You know what I'm saying? So you want to have a reasonably low offer, a strong offer that you think is still a good offer. From there, you can either negotiate back up and try to fall somewhere in the range of what you wanted to pay, or you might even get the person to accept your low offer, and if you were willing to pay $37,000 on a $38,000 or a $40,000 car, what did I say? $38,000 on a $40,000 car, and you offer $36,500 and they accept it, then you just saved yourself $1,500. So that is how that works. And the 5th and final step, which can also be very important, I didn't do this one particularly because I was really familiar with these cars before I did it, and I have a lot of friends in the industry who I can ask questions to and stuff like that. But if you aren't 100% sure, there's 2 things you could do. A lot of people don't know about the second thing. The first thing, bring your mechanically inclined friend. Make sure it's a friend who knows what they are talking about and not one that thinks that they know what they're talking about. They can look over the car, make sure everything's in order, and kind of, if you don't know what some of the things are that you came across in research, they can look at those things for you and make sure that the car is in good working order. Or you can take the car to a mechanic. Mechanics will charge you a fee to go over an entire car. You know, if it's worth it to you, you know, if you're buying something that you're going to rely on every day, or something that you're dropping a lot of money on. I mean, pretty much every car is a lot of money when you think about it. If you like, as opposed to if you're going to waste that money by buying a junk car, I don't think it costs too much money to take it to a mechanic. They can look it over top to bottom. They can plug it in, diagnose it, do a whatever 100-point check that they do, look at everything, and even from there, when you go into your mechanic, they're going to take a critical eye at it because they're impartial party, and they will give you more things that you can negotiate on if it needs tires or oil or, you know, whatever it needs. You can use those to negotiate even further. Number 1, research. Number 2, don't fall in love and know the other comparable cars in the price range and year range and mile range. Number 3, know what you want to pay going into the discussion. Number 4, offer low but don't low ball. And number 5, get it checked out by a mechanically inclined friend or a professional. So those are my 5 tips, guys. If you have any others, feel free to leave them down below. Maybe I can learn a thing or two about getting a good deal on a car from you guys. Maybe you can teach the community a little bit. So leave it down below. And as always, please remember to like this video. Oh, that was no hands on the wheel. Remember to like this video, subscribe, check us out every day. We're producing videos, but Cars and Clyde comes at you every Monday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, talking about everything cars. Let me know what you want to hear about next week, and that's about it, guys. Big Clyde 34 signing out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. Hope you're having a good holiday, and on with it.